4. The right of the people to be secure in their persons, houses, papers, and effects against unreasonable searches and seizures shall not be violated, and no warrant shall be issued but upon probable cause, supported by oath or affirmation, and particularly describing the places to be searched and the persons or things to be seized. Whether you're in automotive, sporting goods, hardware, health, wellness, electrical, electronics, construction, carpet cleaning, legal, or animal care, and offer exceptional customer service and provide quality services or goods, you're honest, reliable, and professional. If you have a business, we have the customers. Let us put you in touch with our loyal, supportive, and dedicated listeners today. They're waiting to hear from you. It's inexpensive. It's effective. Call KHNC at 1-800-205-6245. With the summer months upon us, let's all keep an extra special eye out for our senior citizens. Check on them on a regular basis, especially when the weather is hot. Make sure they have what they need. Someday we'll all be in that position. Wouldn't you like to have someone watch out for you? That's from Brush Housing Authority, reminding listeners, for housing programs, call 970-845-5046. That's 970-845-5046. That's Brush Housing Authority on the air, wishing everyone a great summer season.
New York Mayor Michael Bloomberg continues to prove that he's a very, very rich jackass. Google and Apple are using planes that can film you sunbathing in your own backyard. Palestinians are being arrested for selling property to Jews in Israel. And in a related story, you'll never guess who's really a closet Zionist. It's the Quran. My name is Howard Riell, and this is Real Truth. You're listening to the American Freedom Network, streaming live around the world at AmericanNewsNet.com, and on Facebook, and on YouTube, and on Real TV, and in the book Real Truth, Stay Angry. And, of course, as always, broadcasting out across the Colorado Front Range on KHNC, Johnstown, Colorado, 1360 AM The Lion. Our call-in number, 877-254-7524. Item from Reuters. New York City Mayor Michael Bloomberg will oppose planned legislation to create independent oversight of the New York Police Department, a measure introduced by city lawmakers as the NYPD comes under growing criticism for controversial policies. Two members of the City Council introduced legislation on Wednesday that would create the position of Inspector General, an independent auditor with subpoena power and broad investigative authority to monitor the 35,000-member NYPD. The measure has found support among civil libertarians. If you can have an Inspector General at the FBI and the CIA, why can't you have an Inspector General at the NYPD, said Councilman Jumaane Williams, co-sponsor of the proposed bill. Like his predecessor, Rudy Giuliani, Bloomberg has resisted calls for independent oversight of the police department. The NYPD, quote, is the most regulated department in the entire city, Bloomberg said on Wednesday. I think we've got enough supervision and oversight. We've got to focus on getting the bad guys off the street and getting the guns out of their hands. Stop. Wrong. Wrong on two counts, Mr. Mayor. We need more oversight. More oversight than ever of our civilian law enforcement. Not just in New York, everywhere. Why? As you hear chronicled day by day on this show, civilian law enforcement is getting increasingly rough, increasingly violent, belligerent, aggressive, armed with state-of-the-art weapons that came back from the military in the Middle East. Over 500 people have died as a result of being tased by police officers, most of them, the large majority of them, unarmed. Now, I grew up in New York City. When you grow up in a place, you get to know it. When a cop does something egregious to an innocent person, he hassles someone, maybe hits him, maybe arrests them for nothing, violates his rights in whatever way. Well, there's a code number you can call in the New York City Police Department, and they will investigate it. They'll write down all your information, they'll take your call, and then they'll hang up, and they'll take that information and put it right in the garbage pail, and you're done. That's what happens when anybody, any organization, polices itself. can't be done because their first loyalty is to each other, fellow cops. So we very much need oversight of the NYPD. We need oversight of many PDs in this country because cops are getting just a little too free to swing their batons or spray the pepper spray or use the taser or roll out a sound cannon or bust people for not standing in quote-unquote free speech areas. There was a time when America itself was a free speech area. So cops are getting a little too big for their britches. Nobody is preventing it. And so, yes, we need to, in some way, shape, or form, restrain them. They can't do it themselves. So once again, Michael Bloomberg proves that you don't have to be very smart to get very rich, and he is very, very, very rich, and he's increasingly showing that he's not very, very, very smart. Item from WorldNet Daily, Dateline, Jerusalem, the capital of Israel. At least 16 Palestinians currently are in Palestinian Authority prisons for selling property to Jews, WorldNet Daily has learned. 9 of the 16 face possible capital punishment for their direct involvement in the land sales, according to PA sources. And stop. My friends, if we want to give the Palestinians, the so-called Palestinians, autonomy to run their own little world, well, the first place we should start is giving them the freedom to kill each other. If they want to put 9 of these 16 schleppers to death, go for it, baby. Knock yourselves out. If I can help, you let me know. That much autonomy I'm willing to grant these people who are known internationally as murderers, terrorists, and supporters of terror. They want to kill each other? God bless. It could only be good. Most of those in prison are housed in PA jails in Hebron, Jericho, and Ramallah. The land sales to Jews include 4 deals in the region of Hebron, 3 in Jerusalem, and 1 more deal in the West Bank city of Beit El. The PA sources told WorldNet Daily that the Palestinian government recently formed a unit with a $2.7 million annual budget to investigate property sales to Jews, as well as any Jewish communities, outposts, or military bases that may be sitting on, quote, Arab-owned land. Stop. My friends, what kind of peace partners have the Palestinians been? Well, they haven't. They're interested in killing Jews. That's as far as their delight in peace goes. They've been horrible peace partners. They're murderers and terrorists. So let's look forward optimistically. Maybe in the future they'll all change. Maybe they'll become nicer people. They'll lose their centuries-old hatred of the Jewish people. Maybe they'll want to be good buddies and we'll all sit around having a beer together. They're killing each other because they've sold land to Jews. So how likely is it that they're prepared to live in peace with Jews? How likely is it that they're prepared to live in peace with each other? The Arab peoples are notorious for hacking each other to pieces, waging nonstop war against each other. The only time they stop is when they get a chance to wage war against Jews or the great Satan, America. Then suddenly they can stop killing each other. The whole peace movement in Israel is a farce. It's an impossibility. It's a scam. It will never happen. It can never happen. The only way to have peace within Israel is to empty it of the so-called Palestinians. Where can they go? I couldn't care less where they go. Let them go to the planet Neptune if they like. But there will not be peace with the Palestinians. There will only be peace without them. And that, my friends, is some very real truth. And I will be right back.
Just a good old boy.
Hi, I'm Eric Cedarstrup. For over a decade, I've been the CEO, shipping clerk, and janitor of the Patriot Trading Group. And in that time, I've made friends with tens of thousands of like-minded individuals all over this country, most like me, trying to raise a family, run a business, and make sense out of a world gone mad. I'm proud of the fact that through stock bubbles, housing bubbles, and financial chaos, our customers are prospering and doing very well. By keeping our prices fair and our service fast, We find that 80% of our customers not only reorder, but they tell their friends. Don't be fooled by hype and high pressure. Do business with a company you can trust. Call the Patriot Trading Group at 1-800-951-0592 or check out our website at allamericangold.com. You'll be treated with honesty and respect. You have my word on it. I'm Eric Cedarstrom, CEO, Shipping Clerk and Janitor.
Making their way the only way they know how.
Looking for the perfect answer to your nutrition and health needs? Look no further. BioSuperfood, developed to heal the peoples, animals, and land after the Chernobyl disaster, has the most complete, powerful nutritional analysis for health and wellness. Easy to digest, BioSuperfood contains complete proteins, amino acids, and vitamins A, B complex, B12, C, E, D, and K. It contains minerals and trace elements like calcium, phosphorus, magnesium, potassium, iodine, manganese, zinc, selenium, silicon, and it provides essential fatty acids, omega-3, 6, and 9. It's high in gamma-linoleic acid and has thousands of active enzymes and phytonutrients like chlorophyll, spirulina, and carotenes. Beta-carotene, alpha-carotene, astaxanthin, lutein, lycopene, quercetin, and much more. Save your money, save your time. Compare, and you'll find that there is no more researched or superior product available on the market today. Call now and get your discount prices on your next BioSuperfood at 303-257-7576, 303-257-7576, or BioSuperfood@hotmail.com.
And welcome back to Real Truth. Howard Riell presiding. Last night, I believe it was, on the Hannity Show, he had Juan Williams and Michelle Malkin talking about a variety of obstruction of justice topics involving Eric Holder, our Attorney General, whole bunch of stuff. Let's listen to a small piece of it. I've got a clip here with Michelle Malkin. She's about to go after the liberal Juan Williams. Let's hear what she has to say.
All right, Michelle, explain to me how an Obama donor should be in charge and compare it to the Valerie Plame case.
Well, only in Obama world do people like Juan Williams not see the gobsmackingly naked and clear conflict of interest. Ronald Machen was not merely someone who had given thousands of dollars to Barack Obama. He owes his career, his very first job as a federal prosecutor, to whom? Eric Holder. And this is just a long line and a pattern of Eric Holder serving as a political fixer for whatever commander-in-chief he's working for, whether it's corruptocrat Barack Obama or corruptocrat Bill Clinton. And so many people, so many victims of his politicization of the rule of law warned that this is exactly what was going to happen, that Eric Holder would stand as the runner, the interference monger who would put politics and partisan interests above the national interest. And I find it completely shameful that the likes of all of these Senate Democrats and Juan Williams can sit there ham-hawing and trying to rationalize their double standards between this and the Plame case.
Let me bring up another point here.
Of course he wants to relitigate the Plame case. He doesn't want to deal with what's on the table right now.
Because if they're describing, first of all, this goes right to the Oval Office, because they're describing David Sanger, New York Times, they're describing the president every Tuesday deciding who's going to be on his kill list. Now, this coming from a president who doesn't want to inflame the passions of America's enemies and didn't even have the willingness to show bin Laden's dead body for that stated reason, but he's going to let the world know that he's out to kill this person, this person, and this person because he wants to seem tough.
But Sean, what are you talking? Sean, what are you talking about? That's just reporting. I mean, that's something
reporting
you can get from sources.
White House
There's
sources.
Nothing classified in there, Sean. There's nothing classified.
Where does
that
the
would
leaks
put
come
somebody's
from?
life at risk by divulging the name of Valerie Plame as a covert agent?
Well, wait a minute. If you're, this is important here, because if you are, what foreign government, Israel in this case, would want to work, Michelle, with the United States of America if top secret cyber war covert operations are going on, and what person would want to be recruited to be a spy, knowing that their lives are in jeopardy because if the White House deems it that they got to prop up the president, they're going to do it.
Yeah, that's right. Maybe Juan Williams could stick to the year 2012 for a second. David Sanger, who's the New York Times reporter who reported this story, said that the Obama administration explicitly did not stop him from running the story. It was clearly a strategic leak to aggrandize Obama at a time when he's been under fire from both the right, the left, the center. It's been a very bad week and very bad month for Barack Obama. And these articles came out to fluff his feathers and make him look good at the expense of national security. And all you can do, Juan, is say, claim, 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 and blame, 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 Bush, Bush, Bush.
Wow, listen, I tell you what, Michelle, I'm a real reporter. I'm not a blogger out in the blogosphere somewhere. I'm going to tell you something. The reporters go to officials in this town in a free society. Hang on, please. In a free society,
right? Because I'm not a real
free
reporter,
press,
you are.
And reporters go and talk to officials, and that's not classified. In a free society, we want to know what the government's doing. We want to make decisions. Now, with regard to this stuff that Sean is talking about, when you look at, for example, at the cyber warfare effort, that's a constantly evolving thing. It's not been the case that nobody knows about it. Everybody has talked about it. They did not give them any classified information about it, Sean. They simply discussed the fact that there is such an effort.
They talked about a secret program to undermine Iran's nuclear program using cyber weapons. That's what was discussed.
Sean, this has been widely discussed and reported and in papers. What David Sanger did, and I think David did a great job, was to go to public officials, people who represent the American people, and say, what can you tell me?
When you have people's lives in jeopardy, Juan, and I'll give Michelle the last word, we'll never get anybody to work with us because their lives will be put in jeopardy if it means propping up this president, or in the words of Michelle, fluffing his feathers.
That's right. If I could just say something, the American people are sick of the kind of snotty condescension from liberal elite journalists like Juan Williams who tell us that the rest of us are not doing our jobs, when the point is that on February 2nd, 2009, when Eric Holder was shamefully approved and nominated and approved to be Attorney General, he had already had a long record of bastardizing national security and the rule of law. People like Joseph Connor, whose father was murdered by an FALN terrorist, says at a time, and I quote, before this nomination, warning Republicans that Eric Holder did not have the judgment, values, or character to hold that office. And we've been proven right, even though we are non-professional journalists.
Michelle, you are way off topic.
That is the central point.
And you're not talking about what we're debating here tonight on Sean's show. But, I mean, if you look at Bush at War done by Bob Woodward, there's lots of information in there.
I will tell you this, Juan. You're going to have to accept reality. Holder is finished. He will go.
You guys are just
and he deserves to go.
Holder.
He is incompetent.
It has nothing to do with class.
Holder is an incompetent attorney general working for an incompetent president. Juan Williams is a liberal. Now, is he also a reporter? I guess he is. Yeah. Mainly, he's a liberal first. Now, when I learned how to be a reporter back in school and then working on newspapers in New York and then magazines for over 30 years, God help me, they taught me that being a reporter means you're objective. Is there anyone here who would say Juan Williams is objective? He's got a very clear agenda. They bring him on a show to serve as the liberal counterpart to whatever conservative person they've got. So Juan Williams may refer to himself as a journalist. As far as I'm concerned, he's not much of a journalist at all. You report facts. You don't report what you think. Item from Tamar Yona. She has a radio show, and her guest recently was a former guest of mine, IQ al-Rasuli, an Arab originally from Iraq. Today he lives in the West. He's an expert on the Quran because he's a former Muslim. He wrote a piece, or his comments from the show became an article, in which he shows very clearly that a very strident Zionist voice can be heard in, of all things, the holy book of Islam, the Quran. Why does he say that? Well, he puts out some passages from the Quran, Al-Isra 17:104, and it said, and we said thereafter to the children of Israel, dwell securely in the land of promise, unquote. In other words, this is Allah allegedly saying to the Jewish people, go live in the Jewish land, Israel. In Al-Baqarah 240, it says, O children of Israel, call to mind the special favor which I bestow upon you, and fulfill your covenant with me as I fulfill my covenant with you, and fear none but me. Well, part of fulfilling the covenant means living in the land of Israel. At Al-Baqarah 247, it says, O children of Israel, call to mind the special favor which I bestowed upon you, and that I preferred you above the whole world. At Al-Baqarah 2:122, it says, O children of Israel, call to mind the special favor which I bestowed upon you, and that I preferred you above the whole world. At Al-Jatiyah 45:16, it says, we did aforetime grant to the children of Israel the book, the Torah, the power of command and prophethood. We gave them for sustenance things good and pure, and we favored them above all the nations. Now, Al-Rasuli says the following, believers and unbelievers, please be aware the Quran, in verse after verse, repeatedly and unambiguously asserts that it was Allah and only Allah who did the choosing. Choose for the Jewish land. Contrary to the hate-mongering declarations of anti-Jews that it is racist and arrogant Israelites and Jews who declare themselves the chosen people. So, the Quran itself calls Jews the chosen people. At Al-Sajjah 32:23, it said, we did indeed aforetime give the book to Moses. Be not then in doubt of its reaching thee, and we made it a guide to the children of Israel. Allah is telling the followers of Muhammad that he gave the Torah only to the people of Israel as a guide. At Al-Mu'min 40:53, it says, we did aforetime give Moses the book of guidance, and we gave the book Torah an inheritance to the children of Israel. Last but not least, in Al-Ma'idah 5:21, O my people, enter the holy land which Allah hath assigned unto you, and turn not back ignominiously, for then you will be overthrown to your own ruin. Al-Rasuli writes, it is obvious Muhammad did not realize that his loose-leaf notes had fully captured and preserved through somewhat scrambled up from the more ancient accounts, actually verifying with detailed accounts that the Israelites and the Jews have lived many centuries before him, settled and made their homeland as a nation in the very state of modern Israel, and territories that have since been restored. These are the very lands that his followers absurdly deny had ever previously belonged to anyone else but themselves. In conclusion, based on all the above, it is crystal clear that contrary to the untested beliefs of hundreds of millions of Mohammedan Muslims in the world today, their Quran in fact fully supports and verifies the claims of the Jews for the land of Israel as their ancient and rightful home and nation. Thus, in a nutshell, the Quran is Zionist. Unquote. My friends, if you want to indict someone, if you want to find him guilty, convict someone of a crime, the easiest way to do it is to trap him with his own words. When someone denies having said something, and then you show a video or an audio tape, and you hear him saying it, case closed, slam dunk. When the Quran itself, the holy book of the Muslims, when the Quran itself says that God, they call him Allah, gave the land of Israel to the Jewish people, case closed, slam dunk. More than that, what about the Muslims today who know this to be true and lie about it? Well, it's okay, because in Muslim ideology, God is fine with them lying as long as it helps them kill other people. The Quran itself shows that Jews have been in the land of Israel for centuries, long before Muhammad strolled along, if indeed he ever did stroll along, and there's question about whether or not such a person named Muhammad ever really existed. Read Robert Spencer's book, Did Muhammad Really Exist? But try as they might, the liars and thieves and criminals in the Arab world, and especially the Palestinians, the so-called Palestinians, they're hoping that you are an ignoramus, and that you'll simply believe whatever garbage comes out of their mouths. They'll tell you that the Jews have no historical tie to the Temple Mount. The Jewish temple wasn't really a Jewish temple, and Jews only came from Europe. They don't really have any history in the Middle East. Those are pathetic lies. They're insulting lies. For the people who lies, the Quran itself indicts these thugs and shows them to be not only miscreants, not only ignoramuses, but they're lying in the name of their God, which means there's a nice, cozy, warm place tucked away for them in the Arab version of hell when they die. I'm not for sitting down to peace agreements with people who lie or people who kill those who do business with us. They need to go. They need to go. Not just from Israel, from Western countries, from Europe, from America. They need to go. The world isn't there yet. The world has not acknowledged that yet. The world can't acknowledge that yet. But your humble host, Howard Riell, is a visionary. And I see, just through common sense and logic, what the future holds. And I'm here to tell you, I'm here to echo the words of the great Rabbi Meir Kahane. Zatzal, Hashem Yikom Damo, may God avenge his blood, who said decades ago 3 words that will ring out across the planet in the years to come. What Rabbi Kahane said was, they must go. We'll be back.
Have you been dreaming of new kitchen cabinets? Maybe you want to reface or repair your current ones but think it's too expensive. Are you on a budget but know you need to maximize and organize the storage space in your home, basement, or workplace? What about you gun enthusiasts who would like a customized display cabinet, or those emergency preppers who want a hidden storage unit designed for that unique space? Whether you want quality custom design cabinets, specialty woodwork, or budget repairs, Custom Cabinet Shop can help you with whatever you need. High-end or low-end, remodel, reface, or replace. This family-owned and operated business since 1980 will help you design just about any project. Call 303-340-1390. That's 303-340-1390. Find us on Facebook for your free quote and single on-site visit. Service area is limited.
Ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Tom Phillips, founder of the Green Herb.
All of God's people have a ministry, and it's a trick of our enemy to keep God's people sick and worn out to hinder their ability to minister. We are often judgmental toward people who are addicted to booze, cigarettes, and drugs, but we at the Green Herb have found that most of God's people are unknowingly addicted to the 2 most addictive products in America, sugar and soda pop. If you have a sickness or disease, or if you're just tired a lot, the Green Herb has an herbal product that is formulated just for you, and it's just $15.95. Come by the Green Herb, located in Wheat Ridge, Colorado, on the I-70 Frontage Road North, 1 mile west of Kipling, or call 888-765-HERB. That's 888-765-4372, or go to our website, www.thegreenherb.com, and be sure to listen to the Green Herb Show with Linda and Dr. Cass every Tuesday at 1 o'clock on KHNC.
He was in the world, and the world was made through him, and the world did not know him. He came to his own, and his own did not receive him. But as many as received him, to them he gave the right to become children of God, to those who believe in his name, who were born not of blood, nor of the will of the flesh, nor of the will of man, but of God. The Gospel of John, chapter 1, verse 10 through 13. We, the people of the United States, in order to form a more perfect union, establish justice, ensure domestic tranquility, provide for the common defense, promote the general welfare, and secure the blessings of liberty to ourselves and our posterity, do ordain and establish this Constitution for the United States of America.
Welcome back to Riell truth. People all across America want to know what they can do about Barack Obama's falling popularity. Well, champagne is one good response. How about balloons and parties? I am dumbfounded, personally and professionally, as to why Barack Obama ever had any popularity. I'm astounded that there are people walking the streets free to procreate who actually voted for him. Anyway, be that as it may, Barry Soetoro, whatever, he's president. And his popularity, thank God, is falling. And Dick Morris wants to talk about it. It behooves us to listen.
Obama's favorability drops. That's what we'll talk about today. Until now, in all of the polling that I've seen, Obama's job approval is lower than his personal favorability, sometimes by as much as 20 points, averages about 10 or 12. Favorability, of course, measures what you think of the candidate as a person. Do you have a favorable or an unfavorable view of Barack Obama? And job approval says do you approve or disapprove of the job he's doing as president. Now, traditionally, they move together, but in some cases, they move separately. Like, for example, after the Monica Lewinsky scandal, Bill Clinton had a job approval of 60%, but a personal favorability of only 40%. And his job approval remained 20 points above his personal favorability until the end of his term. I don't like him as a person, but I do like the job he's doing. With Obama, it's been the opposite. I like him as a person, but I have doubts about the job he's doing. And that's partially because of the way he comes across and his warm, affable manner and all of that. Well, you know, I guess you've noticed that Obama's changed. He's no longer the smiley, positive hope and change. He's the surly, combative, divisive, antagonistic guy, very, very different from the one that we're used to. In fact, I go back to Richard Nixon before I can find another president of the United States who was as divisive as Barack Obama. Nixon always condemned the student protesters and said, I represent the silent majority, and he condemned he spoke about the white backlash, by implication condemning blacks, and based on a strategy really of racism and opposition to young people, he marshaled his vote. Obama's now doing the exact same thing, only in reverse. White people are often the enemy. Anglos are often the enemy. Old people are the enemy. Bankers, rich people, the 1%. He's got a whole long list of enemies. Well, that is causing him to pay a price in his personal favorability. And that is really astonishing. In the polls that I've seen in the last couple of days, his job approval is down to 45, and his personal disapproval is up to 45, the same level. Whereas before, his personal disapproval or unfavorability was in the 30s. Now it's moved up to 45. There's a new Barack Obama on display, and it's not playing very well. Now, Romney's task is to be the sunny, optimistic alternative to Obama. And while Obama's busy talking about class warfare and pitting some Americans against other, Romney needs to be the voice of unity. But it's a fascinating development, what's going on. Now, because of the anniversary of the bin Laden shooting, Obama, I think, is in for a couple of days of good polling. I think it'll fade after that. In a sense, it's the reciprocal of the bounce the Republicans used to get off September 11th anniversaries. And he doesn't deserve it, but he's going to get it. But I think he'll come back to earth, and I think the underlying polling will really hurt him. I guess you know that a week from tomorrow, Eileen's in my new book, Screwed.
Yeah, we know all about it, Dick. Thanks very much. I've already talked about his new book, Screwed. It's a good book, and you should read it. But we're talking about Barack Obama, who's been a disastrous president, as indeed I knew he would. He would have to be. I hate to see a great country brought low. Item from Raw Story, Dateline, Washington. The U.S. Justice Department Wednesday said it would drop remaining charges against former Democratic star and presidential hopeful John Edwards, who was charged with misusing campaign funds. The jurors could not reach a unanimous verdict on 5 of the 6 counts of the indictment. However, we respect their judgment, said Assistant Attorney General Lanny Breuer. In the interest of justice, we've decided not to retry Mr. Edwards on those grounds, unquote. Lie! It's a lie. If the Assistant Attorney General's office was interested in justice, in sending a message to America that we have a just system, they would continue to try this man who may well have committed a crime, and show America that no matter who you are and how well connected politically and how much money you've got, even if you cheat on your wife who's dying of cancer, you're still going to get the same even justice that any other citizen would get. Well, forget about that. A wealthy trial lawyer who's in Major League national politics, do you think that you or I would get the same justice that John Edwards is getting? So they're just going to leave him alone. Whatever he did doesn't interest them. My friends, if I park too close to a fire hydrant, there's a ticket on my window, and if I don't pay it, they keep coming after me until I pay it. Maybe it's because I never cheated on my wife while she was dying of cancer. Item from the UK Daily Mail. Spy planes able to photograph sunbathers in their back gardens are being deployed by Google and Apple. The U.S. technology giants are racing to produce aerial maps so detailed they can show up objects just 4 inches wide. But campaigners say the technology is a sinister development that brings their surveillance society a step closer. Stop. There is no but. It's not an either or. Let's grow up. Google and Apple, I'm sure, are you running out this technology because they want better maps. And also, it is a sinister development that brings a surveillance society a step closer. It's not one or the other, it's both. That's why it's so insidious. That's why whenever the government wants more control over you, they come at you from some angle telling you it's for your own good. We're only here trying to help. And Google and Apple are only trying to do a good job for their subscribers. And by the way, when the dust clears and people go home, we've got a surveillance society. Item also from Raw Story. Tea Party favorite Senator Jim DeMint, Republican, South Carolina, on Wednesday asked J.P. Morgan CEO Jamie Dimon, who recently announced his company had lost at least $2 billion in the derivative market, to guide Congress in creating friendly banking regulations. Oh, stop right there. Didn't I already talk to you about the NYPD and how they, like just about everyone else, is incapable. They are incapable of policing themselves. They're incapable of regulating themselves. Well, here's Jim DeMint asking J.P. Morgan's CEO to guide Congress in creating bank regulations. It's like asking the fox to guide the hen house. What do they think they will come up with? You think Dimon is going to come up with something that will stop in his tracks a company like J.P. Morgan trying to get away with shenanigans? Just the opposite. It's more crony capitalism, more crony politics. Jim DeMint should be ashamed of himself, and so should the people who voted for Jim DeMint. We'll be back.
Herb's Meats and Specialty Foods sells hard-to-find clean meats for your family's table. Cured beef bacon, veal, turkey, and summer sausage, all pork-free. Also all available in collagen casings. That's right, collagen casings and pasture-raised, healthy, no hormones, no antibiotics beef at Herb's Meats and Specialty Foods in Broomfield. Call 303-499-8166 or stop by 1000 Depot Hill Road at the intersection of Highway 287 and 10th Avenue in Broomfield. Ask about shipping.
Beloved, do not believe every spirit, but test the spirits, whether they are of God, because many false prophets have gone into the world. By this you will know the Spirit of God. Every spirit that confesses that Yeshua, Jesus, has come in the flesh is of God, and every spirit that does not confess that Yeshua, Jesus, has come in the flesh is not of God. And this is the spirit of Antichrist, which you have already heard was coming and is now already in the world. 1 John 4:1.
Have you been dreaming of new kitchen cabinets? Maybe you want to reface or repair your current ones but think it's too expensive. Are you on a budget but know you need to maximize and organize the storage space in your home, basement, or workplace? What about you gun enthusiasts who would like a customized display cabinet, or those emergency preppers who want a hidden storage unit designed for that unique space? Whether you want quality custom design cabinets, specialty woodwork, or budget repairs, Custom Cabinet Shop can help you with whatever you need. High-end or low-end, remodel, reface, or replace. This family-owned and operated business since 1980 will help you design just about any project. Call 303-340-1390. That's 303-340-1390. Find us on Facebook for your free quote and single on-site visit. Service area is limited.
Folks, welcome back. This clip I'm about to play you is from Russia Today. It's about a month old. A woman who is the host of the show is interviewing Gerald Celente of the Trends Research Center, who's been a guest on the show. I always like watching Celente because I've always wanted to be able to predict the future. Apparently, he can tell you what the future holds. He doesn't predict it based on mysticism. He predicts it based on facts, history, current events, and his knowledge of the world. Let's listen to what Celente has to say. Let's find exactly where there we go. We are getting there. Here we go. Russia Today and Gerald Celente.
Oh, nice work. That's what Jamie Dimon wants you to think. We're going to see what Gerald Celente thinks, though. He's founder of Trends Research Institute and publisher of the Trends Journal, and a great antidote on a day like this to the PR coming from a too-big-to-fail bank like J.P. Morgan. Mr. Celente, Gerald Celente, thank you so much. Welcome back to Capital Account. We're so happy to have you.
Oh, thank you.
Okay, so let's start with something actually from your Spring Trends Journal. It's a quote from Nomi Prince, who's also been a guest on this show, that says, "Never before has the world experienced such an epic government subsidization scheme to keep private sector gamblers gambling." And she's talking about a trend from the U.S. to Europe to next, she believes, Asia and Latin America. My question to you is, not only have the government, the mechanisms of government really been hijacked in order to subsidize the gambling habits and the debt addictions of a new feudal class of banker, but the media, by and large, has painted these attempts as bailouts for the victims. So this may sound like a vague question, but let's just, ask broadly. How would you say this has been allowed to happen?
It's what we wrote back when Henry Paulson, the former CEO of Goldman Sachs, was the head of the U.S. Treasury, the Treasury Secretary under Bush. And he devised the scheme of the bailouts, the too big to fails, with his TARP program. And at that time we sent out a trend alert, Wall Street has hijacked Washington. It's the merger of state and corporate powers. By definition, it's called fascism. It's been a takeover. Look at the people who are in charge and who have been in charge, one after another. Whether it was, from the Goldman Sachs gang, the Merrill Lynch mob, the J.P. Morgan Chase crew, one after another, they all inhabit and inhibit the halls of Wall Street, of Washington, and it's a revolving door. Mm-hmm. There's no democracy in the United States. That's only for little kids. The only representation we get in this country from our senators and congressmen are the people that give them the most money and have the most power. So it's a complete takeover. And not only in the U.S., it's global. I mean, who's the head of the European Central Bank? Oh, Mario Draghi. Where's he from? Son of a gun. Wasn't he the vice chairman of the Goldman Sachs gang over in Europe? Oh, and how about that guy up in Italy? Mario three-card Monte. Oh, wasn't he the international advisor for the Goldman Sachs gang?
Yeah.
One after another, Lauren.
Yeah, the list goes on.
It's very simple.
Same thing as the technocrat in Greece that was appointed prime minister. Or again, he was a former central banker. The question, though, and I don't want to belabor this, but Gerald, sitting here 3 years after the financial crisis, after this malignant banking tumor built and brought down the economy, the worst that we've seen since the Great Depression. How are we sitting here watching Jamie Dimon on TV talk about making more money despite the fact that economies are doing horribly? Is there something in the human psyche, for example, that allows us to be manipulated to allow this kind of pillage right under our noses?
Well, it's all part of the distraction and the entertainment industrial complex. For example, we've just saw over the last few weeks Lloyd Blankfein, you know, the fellow from Goldman Sachs who does, quote, God's work, and being burnishing his image on CNBC and Bloomberg. And all the people do, whether it's a matter of taking you to war or robbing you of your savings, the people just sit back passively and let them get raped, whether it's figuratively or literally. And I don't know what it is with it. You know, I had mentioned earlier to Dimitri, I came back from Berlin.
Yeah.
And it had to be the grandest city I've ever seen before it was bombed. You know, my vision of it. And much grander than Paris, where I spent a lot of time there. And I said to myself, this is the land of, Beethoven, Bach, Goethe, Einstein, one after another. How can these people let a too-big freak like Hitler destroy their country? Oh, then people go, well, it was after the Treaty of Versailles. No. We had one over there in Italy, Mussolini, another too-big freak. We had a too-big freak here in America called George W. Bush. Take the people to war against Iraq for weapons of mass destruction that they didn't possess and ties to Al-Qaeda. What is it in the human spirit that allows people to listen to two big freaks like Jamie Dimon throw out his baloney that, I didn't know the cause, there's no excuse for it. We didn't know it happened to $2 billion, just like a too-big freak like John Corzine, who can't find the $1.6 billion. They let them get away with it, and I'll tell you why I believe it. Because people have lost their courage, their dignity, their respect, their integrity, and their passion, and they put up with a load of cheap baloney like guys like Jamie Dimon and that John Queen King, whoever he is, on Meet the Prostitutes, giving him these softball questions and letting him get away with it.
Absolutely right, and it does my heart good, my friends, to see I'm not the only person who's angry about this stuff. You and I are sharp enough pencils. We know when people are lying to us. We know when people are robbing us blind, and we say, hey, they ought to do something. Well, there's no they. No one's doing anything. The politicians are bought and paid for. They're not going to do anything that Jamie Dimon. He's too connected. He's got too much money. He will sail through life. But this anger that you hear from me and that you hear from Gerald Celente and an increasing number of people, this is Occupy Wall Street. This is the so-called Arab Spring. This is people around the country and around the world who are just fed up with business as usual, because business as usual stinks, and we always end up getting it in the neck. You listen to Gerald Celente, and you know why I tell people to stay angry, because if you're not angry, you won't get anything accomplished that counts. We're going to take a break, and we'll come back and finish things up for the week.
The Lord brings the counsel of the nations to nothing. He makes the plans of the peoples of no effect. The counsel of the Lord stands forever, the plans of his heart to all generations. Blessed is the nation whose God is the Lord, the people he has chosen as his own inheritance. Psalm 33, verses 10 through 12.
We hold these truths to be self-evident, that all men are created equal, that they are endowed by their Creator with certain unalienable rights, that among these are life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness, that to secure these rights, governments are instituted among men, deriving their just power from the consent of the governed. This is the America News Network. Restore Health and Counseling salutes the men and women in uniform who've answered the call for our freedoms. Let's give them the hero's welcome they deserve as they have fought hard to restore peace. America's troops are our angels of protection, so stand up and salute them proudly. That's from Restore Health and Counseling at 4705 Paris Street, serving Northeast Denver with complete substance abuse counseling for adolescents to adult and for private as well as professional drug, alcohol screening and treatment and rehabilitation. Visit us at www.rhctherapy.com or call 303-373-1188. The Beth Messiah Congregation invites you to come and experience a Messianic Roots biblically-based congregational fellowship as we observe God's Shabbat in Messiah Yeshua. Praise and worship services begin at 10:30 a.m., followed by an Oneg Shabbat meal, mid-Rosh, and fellowship. Beth Messiah Congregation is located at 8333 Acoma Way in North Denver. You can find out more information by calling 1-800-205-6245. Everyone's welcome, so join us this Shabbat. And Shabbat Shalom, good Sabbath.
Welcome back to Real Truth. I have an audience member who's running away before I get to this next item because people can't stand to hear a discordant voice. Well, that's what I'm all about. Item from Raw Story. The director of issues of the anti-LGBT, that's lesbian, gay, bisexual, transgender rights group, American Family Association, on Wednesday claimed that kids who were facing a form of sexual abuse when they were adopted by same-sex couples. During his Wednesday radio program Focal Point, Brian Fisher pointed to a debunked study that suggested children with same-sex parents had less of a chance of succeeding as adults. There is a myth that homosexual couples can be just as good of parents to children as heterosexual couples, as married moms and dads, Fisher insisted. Absolutely, flatly, totally, completely not true. Same-sex parenting is bad for kids, period. The bottom line, ladies and gentlemen, to put kids in this environment, it's a form of sexual abuse all its own. To adopt kids into a same-sex environment is a form of sexual abuse, unquote. My friends, I will not go as far as to say it's a form of sexual abuse. I will say that a new car comes with an owner's manual. And the manufacturer knows better than anyone how the car should be used and treated. If the car you buy has an owner's manual that says unleaded gas only, and you put leaded gas in it, guess what? It's not going to work as well as it should. If you slip your car into drive and it goes backwards, something's wrong. And to expose children to something that's wrong, that's broken, cannot provide for the kid as good a life, as good an upbringing, as good emotional balance as a situation in which you start with nothing broken. Item from Raw Story. One Texas town made a notable headline Tuesday evening when it decided who would be its newest council member by the roll of dice. According to KTRK-TV, Webster, Texas broke the 111-111 tie between Diana Newland and Edward LaPierre, tied in their runoff election last week based on an election state rule. The rule states that a coin flip or a dice roll is the only way to break the runoff tie. The contest was decided on the third roll, which went in favor of Newland. Then the third one, Diana, my opponent, rolled a 5, LaPierre said. I rolled a 4, so she became position number 1 council person with her successful high roll, unquote. My friends, lovely, just beautiful. I couldn't be happier. Democracy is alive and well in America, and certainly in Texas, where they're deciding who wins an election by rolling the dice. Why not allow the dog, the family dog, to decide how many times it barks? Why not allow the gerbil to decide by which food bowl it goes to? Why don't we decide based on the shapes of the clouds that are passing overhead? My friends, there are lots and lots of insults to our democracy, to our Constitution. A lot of people who don't appreciate it, don't understand it, don't know it, don't want it. This one takes the cake, deciding an election by rolling the dice. I don't have a snappy comeback for this one. I haven't got anything really funny to say. I think it's sad that the good people of Webster, Texas, decided this election by rolling the dice. Maybe they're just not ready for elections, for democracy, for freedom. Maybe they need to be penned like cows and told where to go, where to stand, when to eat, where to defecate. I don't know. I haven't been to Webster, Texas. And the way things stand, I have no plans to go there. My friends, the week is over. I will be back on Monday. Until then, heed my warning. Stay safe, stay healthy, and stay angry. See ya.